And welcome to our webinar. Firstly, thank you for joining us today. My name is Courtney Sandor and I'm the Events Assistant here at Realise Business. So today's webinar is brought to you by the City of Ryde and funded by New South Wales Treasury for Small Business Month. So Realise Business is a leading social enterprise empowering people to successfully run a business. Through our events, we bring our presenters, advisors and members together to share their expert knowledge in the interest of helping each other to learn and grow to their highest potential. So before we get started, I'm just going to run through some quick housekeeping points. So we ask that you stay on mute for the duration of the webinar. Let us know if you're having any audio or video issues. Ask questions at any time. We will be having a Q&A at the end. So just pop your questions in the chat box, and this session is being recorded. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Realise Business Advisor, James Evangelides.
Thank you very much, Courtney Sandor. Hello, everyone. We've got a few of you there, so fantastic. And thankfully, I don't. Now, Courtney, if you could just unmute for a moment. People can see the screen, but they can't see my face, correct?
So we have your video on, so they should be able to see.
Look, okay, I'm really sorry, everyone. As you can see, I've got a great face for radio. But the reason that my head looks this way, I had a #1 haircut a fortnight ago because I lost a bet. So I'm sorry that you have to look at me this way. I usually have hair, but not today. Anyway, thank you very much for coming. This has been brought to you, as Courtney just said, by the City of Ryde and Realise Business, thanks to funding by the New South Wales Government. Hooray! So a big shout out to the New South Wales Government. Fantastic. Okay, so let's move right along. Now, as Courtney had said, we're going to have a Q&A at the end, but if something is really burning during the presentation, by all means, ask a question via the chat room. Okay, so without further ado, here we go. Fantastic. Okay, now, just going back to that screen, if you sell to other businesses, so if your small business is selling to another business, LinkedIn is the platform to use. Okay, so this is the title of this morning's webinar. Okay, so LinkedIn is the platform to use. Okay, so let's continue. Now, that's me, really boring. You can see my head. That's when I have hair. So yeah, I'm an old guy, so I've been around and done things. So anyway, so moving along. Okay, so today, 2/3 of our time together will be spent in me presenting the content of using LinkedIn when you sell to another business. The remaining third is for Q&A, because I hate going to online to web sessions and face-to-face workshops and so on when they talk for an hour and they give you 3 minutes to ask a question. That's not enough. So I'm going to present for about 2/3, and the rest of the time will be Q&A. So make sure you think of some really good and hard and difficult questions, and please raise them at the end. So moving along again. Okay, now here's a question for you. How many of you have more than 500 plus first degree connections on LinkedIn? If you can just raise your hand in the chat room, okay? How many of you have more than 500 connections? So when you see this, I need you to act upon something, okay? So this is an interactive sort of webinar to keep you awake, to keep you engaged. So when you see this particular slide, it means that you have to do something, okay? So basically raise your hand in the chat. I've got the chat open. So I only want those people who have more than 500 first degree LinkedIn connections to raise their hand. Come on, people, you know how to do it. Open up the group chat, and I only want to see those people who have more than 500. If I don't see any hands, I'm going to assume that you have less than 500. Come on. Yes, thank you, Chris. Chris, that name rings a bell. Fantastic. Norman, thank you. Yes. Sarah, 420. Come on, Sarah, you can do it. Fantastic. Okay, some other people. Come on. Come on, we've got more than Chris and Norman and Sarah. Come on, don't be shy. Okay, so essentially of the group, we have 3 people essentially that have 500 or close to 500 more. It's really important, okay, that you have more than 500, only because of the fact that in your profile, it'll show your total as 500 plus. Now you may have 501, And that's great, but it will just show it as 500 plus. Those other people who have 10,000 first degree connections will also have 500 plus. I have 30,000 first degree, and mine will show 500 plus. Because if you have something less than 500, it shows the actual sort of number, and it implies that the person who has a particular profile isn't serious about the LinkedIn. So that's just a little tip to start the ball rolling, okay? Make sure you get Sarah, get through to 500, okay? Really, really important. And the rest of you, okay, as much as you can, just invite people. It's not that hard and so on. Okay, so moving along. Now, let me just go to this arrow here. Great. Now, what is LinkedIn? Okay, LinkedIn's been around for a while. Okay, it's been around for, I was one of the first users, and I remember using it. I think it's been around for about 12 years now, and it predates Facebook, I think, by a year or so. Anyway, so what is LinkedIn? Put really simply, this is what it is. Okay, you can read that. I don't need to read it for you, but it's specifically business professionals. Now, that business professional could be sort of working for a large corporate, they could be working for a government department, they could be working for a not-for-profit or whatever. But people often, LinkedIn's for big business. No, it's for all business, small, medium, and large, and everything else in between. Okay, so please don't think that LinkedIn isn't for you. If you're in business, any business, with some exceptions, it is for you. Okay, so people often say to me, "Oh, LinkedIn, it's like Facebook for business." I've only got one thing to say to that, folks. Wrong. It is not Facebook for business. I do not want to see what you had for breakfast. I do not want to see, as a LinkedIn user, where you went for your break. I don't want to see the new car that you just bought, okay? I'm not interested, okay? With complete respect, of course, because LinkedIn isn't for that, okay? So although it's a social network, take out the word social and put in the word business. It's a business network for business people doing business, okay? If there's one thing that you take away from today, which I'm sure you'll take away a lot, it is a business network, not a social network. Although that slide that I showed before, the official definition of LinkedIn describes it as a social network. It's not really. The reason that they use that is that people just think, well, Facebook, Instagram, all that, the socials of networks, great. LinkedIn is not, okay? So please keep that in mind. Now, because of the time that we have, I'm not the sort of person to cram in 27 things for you to remember, okay? I'm only going to emphasize 2 really, really important things to consider, to think about and actually do when you are using LinkedIn for your business, okay? Just 2, not 9, not 1, not 5, just 2, okay? Keeping it really, really simple. Now, sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit. The 2 things comes a little bit later. The reason that the two reasons why LinkedIn is important are 2 reasons. 1, Google. Okay, the reason that LinkedIn's important, that if you Google my name, okay, chances are my first result, although I'm quoted in other places and done some things and have my own site and all that, probably the first 1 or 2 search results will be my LinkedIn profile. Because LinkedIn is so pervasive in Google, okay, it's really important that your presence on LinkedIn, okay, your presence on LinkedIn is as best as you can possibly to make it, okay? And we can talk about profiles and so forth some other time, but what's important to know is that your presence on LinkedIn, okay, is crucial. You're going to appear in search results all the time because LinkedIn is everywhere, okay? Now, the second reason why LinkedIn is important and needs your attention, apart from Google, is this company, Microsoft. Now, you may know this, you may not. In June of 2016, Microsoft bought LinkedIn for $26 billion US. Microsoft did not pay that amount of US cash to have LinkedIn sitting on a shelf. LinkedIn in the last 4 years has just grown and grown and grown, and it's being integrated into all of Microsoft's offerings when it comes to business. To the extent that I had a friend just the other month send me a CV to review, and I've never seen this before. I've seen CVs before, of course, but I've never seen this particular link. I opened up the CV, which was a Word doc. I opened it up, and up came this pop-up that said, "Hey, we've just noticed that you're opening up a CV. Would you like to compare the best CVs in Sydney in the same market segment that we've found on LinkedIn?" So it actually read, as it were, the CV of my friend, knew it was a CV, knew that he was an accountant, and wanted to present him a curated list of the best of the top 10 accounting CVs in the Sydney market in real time. It's just amazing. It's incredible. And that's just one aspect. So LinkedIn is everywhere. It's really important. So those two reasons, Google and Microsoft, make LinkedIn very much worth your while. Okay. Now, one key thing to remember about LinkedIn, okay? Cliches are cliches because they're often true. LinkedIn is a great example, okay, of something that you only get out of it what you put in, okay? Because I've been using LinkedIn for a long time, people often come to me when I speak on this at events and so forth. They say, "Oh, James, I've been on LinkedIn now for 3 years, hasn't done a thing for me." So I say, "Okay, well, let's have a look at your profile." So I bring up their profile on their phone, and it's got no photo. This person has 14 first-degree connections, okay? And the only bit of information on this individual's profile is that he went to Dundas Infant School in 1959. That's not a good look. It really isn't. Consider LinkedIn as a way of people finding out about you, much more than a pile of the business cards, because I don't know about you. I've never come across a set of business card that told me information beyond what the individual's name is, what their contact details are, what their current job is, and so on. The thing with LinkedIn, it gives you all that, but it gives you their previous job, where they went to university, where they went to school, who recommends them, projects that they've worked on, okay? Groups that they're a part of, even their hobbies and interests, okay? So LinkedIn profiles are really, really important to have as complete as you can possibly to make it, okay? And there's lots of things out there. Just Google, okay, how do I improve my LinkedIn profile? And there's a lot of stuff out there, okay? Good stuff. So moving along, okay? Let's talk about LinkedIn and business, okay? LinkedIn and business. Two things. This is where I got confused before, I'm sorry. I want you to learn two things about LinkedIn and when it comes to LinkedIn and business in today's, okay? Just two things, okay? Just two things. Now, these two things, okay, they're not a silver sort of bullet. They won't, it's just not a silver bullet. It's not a miracle. It's not a shortcut, but these two things work, but they take time. That old saying from the famous ad on TV a few years ago, it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. But these things are slow burn, okay? It takes time, but I guarantee that these two things work because I've used them and I have friends that use them and colleagues and associates and so forth, okay? They use them because they basically work, but it takes time, okay? With anything worthwhile, it takes time. So these two ways, I'll say it up front, are very, very, very simple, but they take time to build, okay? So let's move along, okay? Now, the number one thing, okay, that I want you to remember about using LinkedIn when it comes to your business, okay, the number one thing is this: don't sell. I repeat, don't sell. LinkedIn is not Amazon. It's not eBay. It's not Gumtree. You are not there to sell. Okay, I can't stress this point enough. Now, there are people selling onto LinkedIn, but they are doing it the wrong way. Okay, they're doing it completely the wrong way. Okay, it's too in your face, it's too brash. Okay, so the number one thing that I want you to remember about using LinkedIn when you're using it for your business is don't sell. So I hear you thinking, if that's doable, thinking, well, so if I don't sell on LinkedIn, what do you do? What else am I doing? Okay. So here, hands up, okay, in the chat box, okay, hands up, okay, and I want a few responses, okay. What's if you don't sell, okay, what can you do or what should you do in LinkedIn? Now I'm going to open up the chat box and I hit the next slide by mistake. Okay, so in the chat box, if you're not selling, what should you be doing on LinkedIn? Okay, we've heard from Chris, Norman, and Sarah in terms of the size of their first degree networks. Okay, Selena, thank you. Share your expertise. Anna, branding and education. Very, very good. Okay, some other people, come on. Sarah, communicate, finding information, read people. Yeah. Good. Fantastic. Come on, some other people so far. It's just the women. Where are the men? Come on, men. You can do it. You can do it. I know you're out there. We've got great responses from Selena, Anna, and Sarah. Come on, men. Thank you, Chris. Add to the knowledge base of your network. Very, very good. Very, very good. Yeah. One more bloke. Come on, one more bloke. We've got 3 women and 1 bloke. Come on, just one more bloke. Hope. Hope you're a woman, aren't you? Fantastic. Your links and contacts. That's great. I love the name Hope. It's wonderful. Okay, your links and contacts. Okay, good. If you're not selling, what do you do? You're definitely all on the right track. Now, I need to hear from one more bloke. Come on, we've got 4 women and 2 blokes. Come on. Norman, where are you? Come on. Anyone? A bloke? Courtney, I don't know. These blokes, gee whiz, they're thinking. All right, well, let's not labor the point too much. You're all on the right track, okay? So thanks for sharing those things, okay? Just get rid of this. Fantastic. Right, so we've just answered that. There are 2 things, okay? If you're not selling, you are wanting to do 2 things. You are wanting to educate and influence, okay? Educate and influence. These things are not selling. These are things that actually help you set yourself apart by informing, by adding value to your audience, okay? Through education and through influence. Okay, those are nice things and so on. They seem a little bit soft, but people often ask me, well, James, how? Okay, how does one educate? How does one influence? Okay, on LinkedIn. Believe me, there are so many ways, so many ways. You've done this already, either directly or indirectly, but you've probably done it in an ad hoc way, just every now and then. Okay, so what are some of the ways? By sharing the website that you have in LinkedIn, believe it or not, by blogging, YouTube clips, Twitter, Pinterest, other social networks. People don't realize that LinkedIn should be a channel for your own site, okay? So if you have your own sort of website, which you have your own blog or your own YouTube channel and so on, LinkedIn is just one other channel. What ideally should happen is that people find you on LinkedIn, they're interested, and through LinkedIn, they come to your site and they can read your blog or they can go to your YouTube channel or whatever, okay? So think of LinkedIn as a front door into your world, okay? Into primarily your website, okay? So those are just some of the ways, but LinkedIn has some incredible power to basically connect across the internet to so many other sort of platforms. But the big ones are, of course, you can share it share it onto the Facebook. That's not really my cup of tea, but certainly YouTube. I'm very much into blogs, but anything that actually helps the person enter your world, okay, LinkedIn can provide, okay? But these are some really key ways. Now, moving along, okay, here are some other ways, okay? A LinkedIn introduction, a LinkedIn endorsement, updates on LinkedIn, recommendations, InMail, okay? These are things, these are really simple devices within LinkedIn that basically help you be active in the network. Now, I just want to ask, let me just bring up the chat again. I just want to ask the quick question. Who here has used, oh, sorry, for some reason, oh, there he goes. I flipped the mouse too much, okay. Who here has actually used at least one of these devices? You've endorsed someone, or you've recommended someone, or you use an introduction, or you've updated. Just give me a sense, please. Just a yes or a no. Thank you, Chris. Yes, it's good. Someone else? No. Sarah? Yes, endorse. Thank you, Norman. Some other people? A no from Selena? No. From Anna? No. From Hope? Anyone else? Okay. It's probably the reason that you don't know what you don't know. These things are actually really important. I've used all of these with intent, and it actually helps, okay? So without burning up time now, I would really like you afterwards, okay? Again, you can Google this and so on. I mean, we could talk about this for days, okay? But what I'd like you to do is think about a way in which you can engage with your audience more. Your first big thing, of course, for those who don't have a network of over 500 is to get there, okay? But once you're over 500, start to do at least one of these things. Updates is really, really straightforward. LinkedIn introduction allows you to introduce someone in your network to someone else, okay? That's pretty easy. You can endorse someone, that's self-explanatory, but just try some things, okay? InMail is basically the internal mail sort of system within LinkedIn that's very, very, very straightforward. I would look at a couple of things. I would start to update once you reach more than 500. And I'd like you to, because this talks about you, but I'd like you to serve people. These three, LinkedIn recommendations, endorsements, and LinkedIn introductions, serve others, okay? So I'd like you to do this because this serves you, but I'd like you to do at least one of the other three, okay? And you can read how they work and so on LinkedIn itself, okay? But it's actually really important because you're serving people, okay? You're actually being active, all right? So let's move along, okay? Now, as we said before, the other thing, apart from education, okay, is influence. As a slide there, you want to stand out. You want to have influence. Look at all these, you know, these dead bulbs here, okay? And here's one. I don't know if these other bulbs are LED, but this one's on and it's standing up and it's bright. And that's what I want for you when you're working with LinkedIn, okay? So how does one do that? So how does one build influence on LinkedIn? Da, 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 da. Hands up. Here's another question for you to be interactive, okay? Can you open up the chat again? Can you please tell, oh gosh, this mouse, sorry. Hands up, you've got a bit of a hint there. Hands up, how do you build influence within LinkedIn? How do you build influence? Enter the chat and give me an answer, please. How do you build influence or gain influence in LinkedIn? Come on, everyone, come on. Come on, Anna and Selena and Norman and Chris. Post, share other articles. Norman, very, very good, very, very good. Someone else, how do you build influence? The question is, how do you build or gain influence within LinkedIn? Norman, you're on the right track. Someone else, come on. Come on, there's more out there than Norman. Come on, don't be shy. There's no right or wrong answer. Write something original. Selena, very, very good. Yes, very, very good. Who else apart from Norman and Selena? Come on, you guys in the generic sense, share interesting articles as opposed to boring articles. Yes, yeah, people don't like reading things that aren't interesting. Why would you? Life is way too short. So thanks for that, Chris. Come on, 2 more, please. 2 more. We're not going to proceed until we get 2 more. Come on. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Come on. 2 more, please. We've heard from Chris. We've heard from Selena. We've heard from Norman. Come on, 2 more. 2 more. You're holding everyone up. You're holding me up. Come on. Liking other posts. Sarah, very, very good. Very good. Okay. 1 more, please. Come on. Male or female, doesn't matter. Oh, here we go, Anna. Subject matter expertise sharing. Oh, it's very, very impressive, okay? Look, you're all basically on the right track, okay? But the way to really stand out, okay, really stand out on LinkedIn is, as some of you have suggested, is writing an article, okay? It's actually write one, but let's open up this, okay? Currently, as of, I think, August of 2020, there are 660 million members of LinkedIn. Now, not all of those are active, but let's assume that half are active, okay? That's still a huge number, huge number. Now, for a virtual Mars bar, okay, who here can tell me how many of those 660, well, let's say 330, okay, because half are inactive. How many, as a percentage, okay, how many LinkedIn members publish an original article? So that means that they're not sharing an article, they're not reposting or anything like that, that they've found something online or they found something in a magazine or whatever. How many actually post something original, something that they themselves have constructed, okay? They themselves have constructed. Open up the chat and let me know, okay? As a percentage, are we talking 5%, 10%, 20%? Tell me. Okay, we've got, okay, Hope has said 10%. Norman said less than 5, 1, 3. Oh, mate, we're getting a 1. Ryde, we're 1%. Selena, 3%. Chris, less than 2. Anna, 1%. That's not very nice, Anna. Come on, surely they're more engaging than that. Sarah, 50%. Oh, well, Sarah is being very, very sort of generous. Now, I think a couple of you got very, very, very close. Drum roll, please, Courtney, for a virtual Mars bar. And the number is, hands up, we've just done that. The number is 0.5 of 1%. So it's not even 1%, it's 0.5%, okay? So this is of that huge number of active members, okay? Only 0.5% actually write something that they've created themselves. So this brings up the obvious statement. If you really want to stand out, on LinkedIn, you write something that is interesting, that is engaging, and that's original. And you might be thinking, oh, James, I can't do that. I can't do. Well, of course you can. If you can write, you can do it. But it's got to be something interesting and engaging, okay? And your first one will suck, but your second one will suck a little less, and your third one will suck. It'll just get better and better. Now, because I'm very old, I've done quite a few things. Now, I've actually, and I'm not saying this to show off, I'm saying it because it's true. I've written 6 books, okay? The first 2 were self-published, and the last 4 have been published by a large house called Thomson Reuters, I have trouble saying that, who in my field of professional services, accounting, law, tax, and so forth, very, very big names. My last 4 have been done with them. My first book, as my boys said at the time, Dad, this book it's not actually sort of rubbish. It aspires to be rubbish. One day it will be rubbish. So the whole point here, my first book was complete and utter garbage. The second book was a little bit less, and so on. So the more that you do it, the better you get at it, okay? And especially when you move from the fact that you do things yourself and then you're backed by a large firm, you've got to get things right. But the point is, the more that you do it, the better you'll get. Now, that's writing books and they're very long and so on. But with posts, okay, with an article, you would have seen this on the internet, and the trend's been probably the last 3 to 5 years that this has appeared. It actually tells you in lots of places on the internet how long it takes you to read something. So the average reading time for 100 words is 60 seconds, okay? So if it's 200 words, it's going to take you 2 minutes, okay? My suggestion to you is to never write anything, especially when you're starting off, that is longer than, to read than 2 minutes. So that means 200 words, okay? And you might think, oh, 200 words is a lot. Nope, it's not. But in every article that you write, you talk about one thing, just one thing, okay? And if you don't like your style, get someone else, because it's very hard to edit because you're the writer and so on. But that, when I first found this out, it's an absolute shock. 1/2 of 1%. So if you want to stand out on LinkedIn, write original stuff and share it. Now, so the first big thing, okay, is to educate and influence, okay? Don't sell, educate and influence. Don't sell, educate and influence. That's the first thing, okay? The number 2 thing is be consistent and follow up. Be consistent means that if you're going to post original stuff, don't do it once every 3.5 months. If you're really going to do this, do something small, but do it well, but do it consistently. If you're going to do it, if it was me, I'd do it once a week. Or if that's too often, try once a month, okay? But you've got to be consistent. You can't miss months 2 and 3 because you didn't think of anything. You've got to do month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4. I, on this other project, because I wanted to improve my Google ranking for this project that I was working on the time, I blogged original things, which I shared through LinkedIn and so on, but it's on my own website. I blogged 3 times a week, every month for 9 months. And my Google ranking in terms of the search index climbed from, I think I was on the bottom of page 17 up to the 2nd organic search result, okay? And that took a lot of hard work, but it brought fruit, okay? So this is the second big thing about LinkedIn and business. Be consistent and follow up. So moving on to the next slide. Okay. These things. These are things that you can be consistent, okay, and you sort of follow up. The only time that I've made income from LinkedIn is when I've done these things, when I've actually introduced someone, when I've endorsed someone, when I've met someone, when I've phoned someone up. It just doesn't mean to say that you just live in LinkedIn and you're not allowed to phone someone up or send them an email as opposed to an in-mail, okay? There's no rule against that, okay? The only time that I've made a fee from providing my services in my own little sort of business is when I've taken the conversation out of LinkedIn and taken it offline, taken it into the real world, okay? That's really important. Be consistent and follow up with people. Now, the best times that I've made a fee is when I've done this. I've actually had a cup of coffee with someone, because people buy from people, okay? So just don't feel that, oh, it's got to be all online. No. It doesn't have to be. In fact, if anything, and you don't do this with everyone that you are, that's part of your own network or whatever, you've got to be judicious, you've got to be selective. But like I say, I've been in business myself for 22 years. I've used LinkedIn for half of that period, and the only time that it's made an impact for me is when I've taken it offline and actually met with someone over a cup of coffee. Now, moving along, story time, hooray, story time. Now, I won't give you the name of the person. This guy was a senior partner in quite a large accounting firm here in Sydney, okay? And it was a top 10 firm. If I said the name to you, you probably would have heard of them, okay? So he was head of their aged care division, okay? And he was working for clients all around Australia. And he thought to himself, there must be a better way to actually share what I know with people. So probably about maybe 5 years ago, he started to build up the things that he was doing in LinkedIn. He got his profile sort of updated, had a good photo of him, he had more than 500 to start off with. And he started to share articles, and he started to share things and introduce people within the aged care sector around Australia. Now, people think, oh, yeah, well, this guy's a gun, isn't he? He's probably 30, 35. No. When he started, he was, I think he said he was 59 when he started. Now he's older, of course, but it got to this stage where he was sharing things, and people, like, he would be at an event and someone would come up to him and say, hey, you're John Smith, aren't you? I've been reading your stuff on LinkedIn. It's actually really, really good. Would it be okay if we got together? Because one of our own clients has an aged care facility that is facing, some serious challenges. Can you help out? And that just came of nothing. That was an indirect approach. Now, this guy, let's call him John. That's not his real name, John Smith. He had to go to Perth one day. Okay, so he had a few days to notice, and he just had shared on LinkedIn that I'll be in Perth at the end of this week, and I'm doing this and this and this. Out of that one update, he had 2 potential clients from Perth contact him via LinkedIn and say, look, and this is the first time that they have been in touch with him, say, look, we've been reading your stuff on LinkedIn and you seem to really know what you're going on about, you seem to know what you're on about. Can we arrange a time to meet when you're in Perth? So cut a long story short, he met them, and I think not on both occasions straight away, but on one of those 2 sort of meetings, he got work straight away. But that meeting was like a third meeting, because the first 2 meetings, as it were, in terms of people getting to know you and so on, was already done through LinkedIn. So he walked out with I don't know what the fee was at the time, but it was quite substantial. We're talking about a $15,000 fee, consulting fee, $20,000, okay, from one of those new people. And the second one, he got, I think, a few weeks later, because they wanted to do stuff via the phone and via email. But this really surprised John, because he said that the indirect benefit of people seeing that you really know your material, that you really know your stuff, and you're sharing it on LinkedIn. He didn't sell once. LinkedIn positioned him as a thought leader, okay? And he's invited to conferences and so on, to the extent that a couple of years ago, he left this big firm and set up his own firm, focused primarily only on the aged care sector, and he's doing really, really well. So that's just one true story, okay? And that's in Sydney, and it's not from some young tech-savvy sort of person. It's from a guy, and this guy, John, is not tech-savvy. He's just he's an accountant, so he's methodical, and he just thought, well, if other people can do it, I'm going to do it. And that's a true story, and he's done really, really well out of it. Now, moving along, I notice the time. Okay, let's keep calm. Okay, there's lots of stuff to do, but keep calm and let's wrap things up. So, moving along, what are the 2 things? Okay, I'm going to open up the chat, and again, for a virtual Mars bar, I want you to, sorry to interrupt, where do we write the 200-word articles? Okay, I will get to that, Selena, in the Q&A. Okay, I will tell you where that is. Okay, now, question, okay, what are the 2 things, if you can write in the chat room, that I want you to take away from today in terms of what you are doing with LinkedIn and your business? What are the 2 things? Don't sell. Sarah, virtual Mars bar for you. That's very good. And what's the other one? So one is don't sell. Oh, Sarah, what do you do when you don't sell? What are the 2 things that you do? Oh, publish an original article. That's true, but that's not part of the 2 things. The influence, fantastic, Sarah. Thank you. The other one had 2 things in it. Okay, we've already got don't sell, but the other one is be consistent. Fantastic. Be consistent and follow up. Very good, Hope. Thank you. So that's what it is. Don't sell, and be consistent and follow up. If someone sends you something in LinkedIn, don't ignore it. Respond to it. Okay? Respond to it. And you'll come up with rules and so forth. Now, I want to remain true to the time. We've just hit, how good is that, Courtney? Courtney, how good is that? It's 11:40, exactly 2/3 in. We now move into our Q&A. Now, if you want a question asked, if you want to ask a question, put it in the chat and we'll respond to it. But Courtney, is it okay if I respond to Selena?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Where we write the several words. Now, I'm still sharing the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you live, if that's okay. How do I set up a LinkedIn business page? We'll get to that. Can we repost our website blog? Yeah, let's get to that. But this will help everyone. So I'm going to do a new share, if that's okay. So I'm going to go to LinkedIn. Let me see. Do I have Firefox open? Good. Okay. So I'm going to share this. Am I sharing? Good. I'm going to go to LinkedIn now. Courtney, can you please confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. And now should be LinkedIn?
It's just loading.
It's loading up?
Yep.
Yep. The NBN is being a bit slow this morning. I don't know why, but hey. Okay. So everyone, if you can just look at the screen for just a moment. LinkedIn is loading up. Coming to you live from Mona Vale in Sydney, and it's incredibly slow, and I don't know why. It's usually a lot faster. Anyway, so this is an answer to Selena, okay? So you'll see, I'm just waiting for it to load up. I'm sorry, Selena. Where you basically share the words, okay? See this thing here, this little box, share a post. If I click on that, okay? If I click on that, it's not, I don't know why it's not loading, okay? I want to do something, okay? So I want to write something, okay? So I want to just start writing, okay? To anyone, and I'm sorry that it's really slow loading. If I hit this, it'll be anyone on Twitter, connections only, or whatever. So essentially, and I won't bore you with the advanced stuff, but all we have to do to start a post is click on here, which is at the top, okay? And essentially you can start to write. You can put in photos, you can put into the video, you can find an attachment, but you write here, okay? You actually write here. And and it doesn't give you a word length. So what I tend to do is I type it up in Word, get the word length and cut and paste it and put it into that. So I hope that helps. Okay, so Courtney, if you can take us through.
Yes, we've got a couple of questions. So we had one come through from Hope. So she's got, can we repost our website blog?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Usually a website, depending upon what you have, if you're using WordPress or you're using Wix or Squarespace and so on, there are these little tools, little plugins that allow you to repost the article to LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or a whole range of things. But the short answer is yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So we had one come through from Chris. So how do I set up a LinkedIn business page?
I wish we had time to do that. Just Google it. It is really, really straightforward. But before you do that, Chris, I really want you to have a very good Chris personal LinkedIn page, okay? Because the two are linked, okay? So make sure your individual profile, when people Google your name and see your LinkedIn profile to link come in, that is as good as you can actually do it. It's got to have a good photo, it's got to have a good headline, it's got to have some activity, some detail and so on. So Google how you set up a page for your own sort of business, but before doing that, make sure your individual one is top notch.
Okay, great. So we had one from Anna. So what are the exemptions against using LinkedIn?
What are the, sorry, can you please repeat it?
So she's got, what are the exceptions against using LinkedIn?
What are the exceptions against using LinkedIn? Sorry, Sarah, is it Sarah that asked that?
Anna.
Oh, Hannah, sorry. Anna, I don't understand the question. Are you asking when are the times to not use LinkedIn? I don't understand the question. Could you please rephrase it and retype it?
Okay, so she's got another one come through. So she's got, is it better to do a LinkedIn original post or share a web post?
If it's original on your if the web post is from your own website and it's original, yes, absolutely. But if it's something that you've just found on the New York Times or, Sydney Morning Herald or New Idea magazine or whatever, no, it's always better to write something original, only because of the fact that, as we had discussed earlier, only 0.5% of people write things that are original. So it's not that they get lost in all that, but there is so much. I've read articles, that appear 10 times or 1,000 times, 10,000, like the same article. And that's good the first couple of times, but it doesn't really work. If you really want to stand out and want to get a reputation for sharing things that really counts, you've got to craft your own content. That's what's really that's what LinkedIn rewards the most. Okay.
Okay, so she's also mentioned what business isn't LinkedIn friendly.
What business isn't LinkedIn friendly? It's not LinkedIn friendly if you're selling to individual, like say for example, if you're a shop or an online store and you're only selling to individuals. You're selling to mums and dads and boys and girls and so forth, okay? This is primarily, and the whole point of this time this morning together is to actually have your business sell to another business. So I don't have any expertise in how to use LinkedIn for selling to individuals per se. There is a case to be made because people say, but there are lots of people on LinkedIn that are executives and they're paid lots of money and I want to go and capture that to the market. We'll go for it. But that's not the point of what we're discussing this morning. It's for you to sell to, it could be a small business selling to another small business, or a small business selling to a large business, or a government department, or a not-for-profit organization. Okay. So the exceptions for this particular time that we've shared this morning is we don't sell to individuals. We sell to other businesses. That's the whole point.
Yeah, okay, great. So we've had one through from Sarah. So she says, I know how to send a message to a group of contacts. Does this group save in my contacts?
Yes, the actual group itself, it depends. If you're the person who started the group, then you track everything, of course. But if you're a member of a group and you're contributing to that group, usually what happens is that the convener of that group allows as it were, all interactions to be saved. But they have the right to delete old posts, for example. But you've got to actually, if what you're asking is, can I connect to the people that are made up of the group? Yes, through invitation, but they can say no.
Yeah, okay, great. Norman's written, is having a premium membership to LinkedIn worth it as an employee?
Long answer, no. And not to show off anything, but people find out, you can Google me. 2013, so that's 7 years ago, I got a phone call out of the blue from this magazine, and I had no idea that this was actually on the cards. They were doing a feature article on LinkedIn and Australian sort of business, and I found out that I was the most connected Australian on LinkedIn. So I was number 1 in Australia and New Zealand and number 77 in the world. Now, at the time, I didn't have 660, huge membership of 660 mil. Back then it had probably about 300 million. But people think, oh, it changed your life. So, no, because all I did was build this network and help people, and people invited me and I did things and so on. So for me, I've got a huge network, absolutely huge. But do I know the people? No, I know 0.0000002%. Okay, but that's not the point. The point is that I have access to people through others and I share things and so on. So, and I did that on a free LinkedIn offering, and I felt really bad that year because I had such a huge network that I actually signed up for the premium one for 1 year, and then I stopped it because it wasn't worth it. And there are some, and I shouldn't say this, there are some, for want of a better term, shortcuts and workarounds and hacks where you don't need the premium one. So Norman, save your money. I'd much rather you join Realise Business. But no, you don't need it. The free one's fine. Free one's fine.
Okay, great. So we had my question come through from Selena. So do you mean not creating the LinkedIn business page until you have 500 connections? Where do you suggest to post articles from a personal profile or business page?
The way that I built up mine was that because I was, it's only me in the business. I don't have a business page as such. It's just me. So I'm somewhat biased in this. I would much prefer that you build up your own profile first, get above 500, share lots of things and so on. And if you want to, then have a secondary page for your business. Okay, the two are linked, of course, but I've seen company pages that are fantastic, but the individual who's the CEO has a rubbish individual profile, and it just doesn't make sense. So I'd much rather, and especially in a small business, much more than a larger business, I would work on your individual profile first, get up to 500, have a good photo, have good content there. Then if you want, set up a page for your business.
Okay, perfect. Hope's also come through. So how to contact somebody when share does not come up with the person's profile?
Yeah. You can only share something with people that are part of the network, okay? Either your first degree, second degree or third degree. So that means that if you want to share with them, you have to invite them to join you. LinkedIn does not allow you to share with people outside your network. So you've got to get them in the network first, either as a first degree, second degree or third degree. Then you can share things with them.
Okay, perfect. And so how much time does it take to be effective on LinkedIn, would you say?
What an interesting question. I'm often asked this. People say, oh, James, I've been on LinkedIn now for 3 years. It's done as another thing for me. And then, like I said before, you only get out of it what you put into it, okay? It took me, and I didn't try. So I joined LinkedIn in 2007. So that's 13 years ago. And it took me 6 years to become sort of number one. Not that I had that purpose, but I was just doing things. I was just sharing articles. I was inviting people. In fact, I ran out of invitations. It's changed now. I ran out of invitations because you're only issued 3,000 invites. So I issued those. So people found me, they read my articles and said, oh, and they invite me. So that's how it builds up. Look, if you do things consistently, okay, you build up a body of work on LinkedIn, your articles, your updates and so forth. If it was me, and, I'm a big believer in doing lots of small things consistently and well, I'd do just something small each day. Spend 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. And it's quite amazing that after a week, after a month, after 3 months, after 12 months, okay, all those little bits really, really add up and you'll have a body of work to point to. Now, I spent a lot more than that in the early days, but now I don't do anything. I get invitations all the time and I've got criteria and I can only accept up to 30,000 connections. So I keep a few free for friends. So it's just below 30,000. But if it was me, I'd give you 12 months, but do something each day. Just do something small, and you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it, and you'll get to the results. But it's a slow burn. It takes time.
Yeah. We probably have one question. Time for one more question, sorry. So we had one through from Anna. So she's got, what is first, second, third degree contact?
Okay. This is the heart of LinkedIn, Anna. A first degree, say, are your friends. second degree are friends of friends, and third degree are friends of friends of friends, okay? So usually when I say 500 plus, that is your 500 plus friends. Those are the people closest to you. Now, of my 30,000, almost 30,000 first degree friends, I probably know personally 1,000 of them, okay? But I don't know the other 29,000. My second degree is 8.5 mil, and my third degree is 34 million. Now, I won't explain to you how the sort of maths work, but friends of friends become friends of friends through every contact that they have. So say, for example, if you were to send me an invite and I accept your invitation, you become a friend, but my second degree becomes your third degree. So you will see your third degree just go through the roof with 8.5 million extra people. Now people think, how does it all work? Look, I won't bore you now with all this exponential stuff, but it's a fact that people know people. If I told 2 people to say, look, can you invite 2 of your friends each and say the same thing to those people? The one becomes, basically becomes 4, then it becomes 8, so on, so on, so on. It's like the old, I don't know if you guys have heard this. There are 64 squares on a chessboard, okay? If I put a grain of rice on square 1, okay, and then doubled it for every square after that. So on square 1, it's 1 grain of rice. On square 2, it's 2 grains of rice. On square 3, it's 4 grains of rice. How many grains of rice would I have on square 64? Would anyone like to guess? There's not enough space on planet Earth to hold all those grains of rice. It is in the trillions of trillions, okay? Because that's the power of exponential growth, okay? So, and that's why, just as an aside, that's why coronavirus, that's why they say that we've got to be below a growth rate of 1.0, because anything above 1.0 is a forerunner to exponential growth, and it's a real issue. So, I hope that helps. I hope you've learned something, okay? Now, as a gift to all of you, okay, because being just a generous guy, like I said, I keep some spots free for friends. By all means, you can send me an invite and I will accept them. My usual criteria for accepting invites is that I accept no invite with a person who doesn't have a photo. I don't accept an invite with someone who uses a logo as their photo. And I definitely don't accept an invite from someone who uses Homer Simpson as their profile photo, because chances are a person doesn't look like Homer Simpson, okay? So long as you don't fit in those 3 areas, I will accept your invite. And by all means, keep in touch. And as we say, of course, Realise is here to help you. Our first 4 hours are completely free of charge because we're paid by the government. Right. And the next 30 hours are heavily subsidised. So if you need help, just Google us or just type into Google Realise Business, go to the website, and our friendly staff at HQ, people like the wonderful Courtney, will be more than happy to assist you. I hope you've learned something. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thanks, James. Before we close off the session, I do want to just mention we do have one more webinar coming up, which is brought to you by the City of Ryde and funded by the New South Wales Treasury for Small Business Month. So it's on Monday, the 26th of October, called Why You Need an Organic Social Media Strategy for Your Brand. So you can register for this webinar on the City of Ryde website or the Small Business Month event page. And also just to let you know, all the webinars that we have been hosting will be can be found on the City of Ryde website as well. So thanks again, James. Thanks for a great presentation. And thanks again to everyone for joining. We hope to see you online next week.
Yay. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.